This is the time set for hearing for consideration of an ordinance adopting a new section 51.10A, carry and concealment of air guns and other realistic facsimiles of firearms of Chapter 51, Public Health and Safety of the Burlington Municipal Code. Publication's been made in the Hawkeye as prescribed by law. Those for or against can be heard at this time. Big Chief?
Thank you, Your Honor and Counsel. We've discussed this in a lot of detail as well, but anyway, nothing's changed with the ordinance. It's strictly, again, talking about a matter of conveyance and how these firearms or airsoft gun, BB guns, pellet guns are transported. We're not trying to say that they're unlawful to have or that they should or shouldn't have them. It's just how do we get them from point A to point B. And it's been a little while, so just statistically, I'll breeze you back through that. One of our concerns is for officer safety. You know, we experienced several calls in the past of, you know, we got a man with a gun or there's a rifle in this car, and we go up there and as policemen we can't presume that it's an airsoft gun. It's just the opposite for us. And right now we have approximately 3,400 carry concealed permits that are issued in the county. So again, you know, there's a lot of people with guns in the county. I think they're responsible people. I don't have a problem with that. But again, we see a gun where they're not maybe going to take the time to think of, you know, what is this? Is it an air gun or is it the real thing? So in 2012, we responded to 19 of those types of calls. Strictly that, you know, hey, we got a complaint of a man with a gun or a kid with a gun or there's a gun in a car that turned out to be air gun, airsoft, BB guns. In 2013, we responded to 26 of those type calls. And in 2014 to date, and I ran these numbers back in April, so I'm a few months behind, but we had 2, and I know we've had 3 since then. So, I mean, we're statistically going to be close, and 14 maybe down a little bit, but just in round numbers, you're looking at probably 60 calls for service in a 3-year period of time, or 65 calls for service. And to me, that's predictable. And if it's predictable, it's preventable, or it's a step in the right direction. I need to remind you, in 2013, we had that rash of vandalism with like 70-some windows shot out across town over a period of time with BB guns, airsoft guns. You know, would this prevent that? I don't know, but it's a step in the right direction, for sure. If we can conceal this, then it's a lot easier to get away with that type of a crime versus it gives us more leverage, is what I'm saying. If we come upon one of these 26 calls for service, and this person does have an airsoft gun, see you later. They're cut down the road. And so really, what are we doing? Well, in 2 weeks, you're going to get the same call again. And that, to me, is just, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And Marion, for an example, has a ordinance very similar to this that they adopted. You know, I'm not sure what year they adopted that, but when I was trying to find some like ordinances to help the city attorney draft our ordinance, I do specifically remember Marion addressing the same issue. So, I mean, that's what I'm bringing forward. I understand that people have a right to carry guns, you know, real guns, and if they go through the proper permit process, they can do that. But what I'm talking about is an air gun, a BB gun, and strictly just how it is carried. I mean, we have ordinances in place for if you are to shoot a target in your backyard with this BB gun. I mean, as long as that projectile doesn't leave your property, it's fine. If it does, we have an ordinance to cover that. I mean, if these guns are used in assaults or robberies, or there's ordinances to cover all that. But this is strictly an ordinance in a matter of how you get it from point A to point B. You just can't openly walk down the sidewalk with this gun.
So this would become a simple misdemeanor?
Yes.
So.
Yes. Yeah, it'd be strictly a city ordinance, which is only punishable by simple misdemeanors.
The reason why, again, I talked to somebody today, but they were asking how this all got started, and I was trying to give them some backup on it. But what made me really take a second look at this is when I've looked in other communities and you hear about some of the stories. I mean, a guy got shot by some policemen carrying a hoagie. You know, those are things that we don't want to happen. And I know that kids, a lot of times, they don't think about what they're doing first. I know because just a few years ago, I was one.
25 years.
And anyway, I'm not getting any help on that.
Long time ago.
But a long time ago. But I did some stupid things that without thinking, and you know, I'm 45 and sometimes I still do stupid things. So sometimes we need to think about those things in advance, do some forward thinking. And I don't want a cop shooting somebody and then feeling, or anybody getting shot, for that matter, over something that was horseplay or something like that. So just to reiterate what you said, it's not saying that nobody can have them. It's saying that they need to be in a proper carrying bag so that you're not walking through the streets or just running around or whatever with a BB gun that may or may not look real. And I don't see any problem with it because I do think it's addressing a problem that could really turn bad in the future. So that's all I'm going to say on that.
And I guess for me, I can't see anything wrong with this because it could save somebody's life. I understand that. And I think too that it helps teach good safety. I mean, if there's a teenager who has an air gun and wants to have a gun someday, he'd have to carry it in a case anyway. So I think that it's, teaching them the right way to carry a gun in the future.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a real good point.
And they do look very realistic. I have had now occasion to see them and a couple of different models, and they look very, from a distance, they do look very real. Education-wise, are we gonna reach out to try to find a way to let folks know about this?
That was my thought.
I guess
other
that's
than
one
the
of my
norm.
concerns about it. I think
I
it's a
think
good
it's like
ordinance, but
any-
I'm very concerned
Excuse me.
about reaching out and informing the age group that's going to be, potentially, John's gonna go over to his neighbor's house and he's gonna run across the street because they're gonna go play whatever they're gonna do over at his house.
No, that's a great idea, and I
And
think a good avenue for that would be, we're gonna have an SRO in the middle schools this year for the first time and the high school, and by the time this ordinance is passed, it'll be getting close to kids going back to school, and we can certainly address it at that level and to let them know. And I think the media, there's gonna be some media on this, we have to have 3 hearings, and, I think the word's gonna travel pretty fast, especially with the patrolman on the street and somebody with an air gun, it's gonna travel fast, but we really agree with the education process, period. That's what this is all about. It isn't about running out to enforce the law. It is about educating the people so they do it right, so we can prevent this. But yeah, that's a great point.
I think we can probably use some social media as well to try to get that
Sure.
message out. But yeah, that was my only concern, was making sure that we did get it out to the kids because they're the ones that are probably going to be affected, I would think, the most.
And it's the ones, that aren't fully developed up here yet, so.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's very true, and them sometimes can be the hardest kids to reach. But we've become very active in the after-school programs. That'd be another great place to put this message out too. So, yeah, we got several readings to go here, but absolutely, we would be diligent in that.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Big Chief.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion?
I have a motion to close.
Kathleen?
Anderson? Aye. Fleming?
Aye.
McCampbell?
Yes.
Scott?
Aye.
Shockley?
Aye.
Okay. Get a
Okay,
motion.
I have a motion for preliminary adoption of the first reading of an ordinance adopting a new section 51.10A, carrying concealment of air guns and other realistic facsimilies of firearms of Chapter 51 Public Health and Safety of the Burlington Municipal Code.
Second.
Kathleen?
Anderson? Aye. Fleming?
Aye.
McCampbell?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Shockley?
Aye.
Okay.